You know that moment when you should start but don't? That invisible resistance? That's procrastination, and it kills more dreams than failure ever will. But what if you could silence it for good? Procrastination doesn't mean you're lazy. It means something inside you is out of sync. You don't delay because you don't care. You delay because your feelings get in the way. The key is to take action even when you don't feel like it. Teach your mind to follow your goals, not your mood. That simple choice can change your whole life. In a few moments, I will teach you powerful steps that can help you kill procrastination once and for all, forever. Understand the true cost of delay. Procrastination is not harmless. It is a silent thief, a cunning assassin of dreams. Every time you delay, you make a choice. Yes, a choice. To surrender your future for a fleeting comfort. That task you postpone, that meeting you avoid, that decision you delay. Each one compounds into a mountain of regret. You may not feel the weight today, but one day, the dream you ignored will look you in the eye and say, "You could have had me, but you chose comfort instead." You see, the habit of delay weakens more than your schedule. It weakens your identity. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you are teaching your mind to doubt your own word. You become someone you can't trust. And if you can't trust yourself, who can? The greatest cost of procrastination is not the missed deadline. It is the erosion of your self-respect, because you know deep down, that thing you're avoiding, that's the very thing that would move you forward. So today, draw a line. Decide that delay is not an option. Say it with certainty. My future is too valuable to be sacrificed for my feelings. The moment you decide to act, despite resistance, you declare war on procrastination. And from that moment on, you become dangerous to your excuses. Identify the root, not just the symptom. Procrastination is not a time problem. It is a mind problem. It masquerades as laziness, but beneath it lies fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear that your effort may not be enough. So you avoid the thing that threatens your comfort, even if it promises your growth. Understand this. You don't delay because you're weak. You delay because your mind seeks safety. The task is unfamiliar, the path is uncertain, and the subconscious whispers, "Avoid pain." So you scroll, you clean, you distract yourself with tasks that feel productive but are simply comfortable. If you want to conquer procrastination, you must dig deeper. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? You'll find the answer in your identity. You might fear being seen trying and failing, or you fear the judgment of others, or worst of all, you fear discovering your limits. But growth has no room for safety. It lives in risk, in failure, in exposure. So if you want to stop delaying, you must build courage, not just discipline. The courage to be seen starting small. The courage to do imperfect work. The courage to be laughed at while you build something worth applauding. Slay the root, not the shadow. Face the fear, and the delay dies with it. Build a compelling vision that pulls you forward. A man without a vision will always be ruled by distraction. If your future is unclear, then your present will feel meaningless. And when meaning fades, action fades with it. You must create a vision so powerful, it demands your obedience. Not just a goal, but a vivid, emotional picture of who you will become. Close your eyes and see it. What does your life look like when you're living fully, freely, without delay? What do you feel when you walk with purpose, when your mornings begin with confidence, when your time is spent like gold and not like dust? Vision is not optional. It is the fuel for consistent action. You don't need more motivation. You need more meaning. And meaning is born from clarity. When your why is strong, the how becomes irrelevant. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Carry it in your heart. Your vision must haunt you in your silence and electrify you in your stillness. It must shout louder than your doubts and pull you through your fatigue. This is how great men escape the gravity of procrastination. They are not superhuman. They are simply obsessed with the future they are building. Let your vision become your magnet and let it rip every excuse from your grasp. Build mind stronger than emotion. Your feelings are not built for leadership. They were made to respond, not to command. They are excellent servants, but dangerous masters. If you allow them to dictate your actions, you will drift tossed by the winds of circumstance and the tides of mood. But if you train your mind to lead, your feelings will fall into place like soldiers obeying a clear command. You must not wait to feel motivated. Motivation is a luxury. Leadership of the self demands something far more reliable, a mind governed by structure, a system. A pattern of behavior that functions regardless of how you feel. You see, your mind thrives on clarity. When the path is uncertain, emotion rushes in to fill the gap. Doubt grows. Excuses multiply. That is why the most successful people do not rely on emotional weather. They operate from an internal compass. They have built for themselves a ritual, a routine, a structure that begins where motivation ends. Think of the craftsman. He does not rise each day and ask, "Do I feel like creating today?" He walks to his bench. He lifts his tools. He begins. He hammers. He carves. He repeats day after day. Whether it rains or shines, whether he feels inspired or dull, the rhythm remains the same. And that rhythm, that system, has built monuments that outlast generations. Your system can be just as simple. A 2-hour block before the world awakens where you shut out all distractions and work in silence. Or a commitment to write 1 page, finish 1 task, solve 1 problem before breakfast. Or a checklist you follow without negotiation. The details do not matter as much as the consistency. Discipline is not about what you feel, it is about what you decide. And when you decide the same thing every single day, your mind will begin to obey. It will learn that no matter how tired you are, how anxious, how discouraged, you show up, you move forward, you act. This is how champions are built. Not by sparks of genius or flashes of emotion, but by predictable, boring, unstoppable patterns of action. That is the secret most will never understand. Greatness is not born from excitement, but from execution, daily, relentlessly. So build a system that outlives your doubt, one that works in the dark, one that functions in failure, one that continues when you would rather quit. Let your routine become your religion. Let your ritual become your rule. Let your mind command your day before your feelings ever get a chance to speak. You do not need to feel ready. You need to begin. Because action reshapes emotion, behavior reprograms belief, and discipline teaches your mind that you are in control. Kill procrastination at its source, not by waiting for the right mood, but by removing the need for one altogether. Design your day like an architect. Build in anchors, not guesses, habits, not hopes. And one day, you will look back and realize it was not your talent that carried you, not your passion, not even your ambition. It was your system, quiet, consistent, unshakable. That is how empires are made, and you are the emperor of your mind. Use the power of accountability. And alliance success is rarely a solo act. It may begin in solitude, with a vision whispered in the quiet corners of your mind, but it is completed in partnership. The greatest transformations do not happen alone. They happen in alliance, in shared ambition, in voices that echo your purpose back to you when you begin to forget. Isolation may feel safe, but it is the breeding ground for procrastination. In the absence of accountability, delay becomes comfortable. Excuses go unchallenged. You become too understanding of your own weakness, and in time, your dream begins to decay, not because it was impossible, but because it was unattended. Partnership changes that. True partnership, rooted in mutual hunger and unwavering honesty, destroys delay. When you link arms with someone who shares your standard, your urgency, your fire, you double your strength and half your doubts. The moment you speak your goal aloud to someone who believes in you, it becomes real, tangible. You no longer carry your vision alone. You are now seen, watched, expected, believed in, and with that belief comes a sacred responsibility, not only to yourself, but to the one who holds space for your success. Your word becomes a contract, not a wish. Accountability is the bridge between intention and action. It is the mirror that reflects not who you pretend to be, but who you truly are in your follow-through. It exposes your excuses, it reveals your patterns, and in doing so, it empowers your change. But accountability alone is not enough. You also need alliance, a force that pushes you forward when your own energy begins to fade. A partner, a mentor, a friend who refuses to let you settle. Someone who calls out your greatness when you've forgotten it. Someone who reminds you that your dream is not just yours, it is a responsibility to those who believe in you. This is the power of the mastermind. Two or more individuals united in purpose, committed to truth, and aligned in direction. It is not just a support group. It is a growth system, a pressure that sharpens, a standard that elevates. Your ally is not there to soothe your failures, but to resurrect your commitment. Not to sympathize with your delay, but to agitate your potential. They do not pity your struggle. They provoke your strength. Find that person. And if you cannot find them, become that person for someone else. And in doing so, attract them. Energy attracts likeness. When you live in discipline, speak with conviction, and move with clarity, you will magnetize others who do the same. This is how you eliminate procrastination. Not by waiting for inspiration, but by aligning with action-driven people. Not by motivating yourself in solitude, but by committing publicly to your mission. Procrastination thrives in secrecy. It dies in the light of shared commitment. When you walk with the driven, you cannot help but move. When your circle is in motion, you will be pulled forward, even on your weakest days. This is not theory. It is spiritual law. As it is written, iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. So do not wander the path to greatness alone. Form your own alliance. Call it what you will, a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a covenant of excellence. Build it not on comfort, but on truth, not on flattery, but on fire. Hold each other to standards that scare you. Speak the language of growth, and make no room for smallness. Because when you align with others who refuse to delay, you will find yourself advancing consistently, confidently, with compounding force, not by accident, not by burst of passion, but by a bond forged in purpose. You will no longer procrastinate because now your destiny is not a solo burden. It is a shared mission, a mutual climb, a sacred pact. Do this, and you will never delay what you were born to become again. Master the art of starting small. From a distance, the mountain of your goals looks impossible. The peak is hidden by clouds, the journey seems endless, and your mind begins to whisper, "Why bother?" This is the illusion of magnitude. When you stare too long at the size of the mission, fear begins to build its house in your heart. But here is the truth. The mountain is only a staircase, one step stepped upon another. And no one climbs a staircase by jumping to the top. They take the first step, then the next, and eventually the peak comes into view not because it shrunk, but because you grew. The secret is this: do not try to finish it. Just start it. Begin with the smallest step imaginable. Write one sentence. Take one breath. Do one push-up. Send one message. Your brain resists large tasks because they disrupt its precious illusion of safety. They demand change, and change feels like danger. But action, small, non-threatening action, tricks the brain. Once in motion, energy begins to flow. Momentum starts to build. Clarity starts to form. You stop thinking and start doing. And with every step, your identity shifts from someone who wants to someone who does. Train yourself to ignore the overwhelming scope of the mission. Don't stare at the whole staircase. Focus only on the next rung. If you look too far ahead, you will imagine difficulty that hasn't even arrived. But if you act now, even in weakness, even in fear, you gain power. Act imperfectly. Act inconsistently. But above all, act repeatedly. Repetition is the sculptor of momentum. One action may feel small, but repeat it, it becomes a river cutting through stone. You do not need to write the whole book, just the first sentence. You do not need to conquer the entire workout, just one rep. You do not need to dominate your industry, just speak to one soul. The first movement is sacred. It is not small. It is the unlocking of the entire journey, because that single step tells your mind action is possible. And once you believe that action is possible, belief begins to blossom. Belief is not born from affirmation, it is born from evidence. And nothing provides better evidence than motion. You begin to say, I can do this, not because someone told you, but because you just did. Even if it was small, even if it was messy, you did it. And belief is fire. It burns through hesitation. It melts delay. It turns desire into discipline. When you believe in your ability to move, procrastination loses its grip. All great builders began with one brick. They didn't wait until the entire plan was perfect. They laid the first stone, then another, and eventually cathedrals. All champions began with one decision, one moment of motion, one choice to start while others waited. Your power lives there, in that first decision. The one that doesn't wait for motivation or comfort or perfect conditions, the one that says, I move anyway. Master this, the first movement, because once you master the start, momentum becomes your ally. It pushes you forward. It lowers resistance. It creates its own rhythm. What once felt impossible now becomes automatic. Your enemy is not the size of the mountain, it is your hesitation at the base. But the moment you move, the mountain shrinks, and the climb becomes a dance. Do not dream of reaching the top. Dream of taking the next step, and then take it. The staircase is waiting. The bricks are ready. The fire is inside you. Begin, and let motion do the rest. Break the addiction to perfection. Perfection is the enemy of progress. It is a thief dressed in ambition. It whispers lies that sound noble. Wait until it's flawless. Don't begin until it's polished. You must get it right before you're worthy. But the truth is this: nothing great was born perfect. Every masterpiece began as a mess. Every symphony started as a note. Every book as a rough sentence. Every castle as a crude sketch on parchment. You do not delay. You delay because you are afraid. Afraid that what you produce will fall short of the ideal you hold in your mind. But what is good enough to a man who is still growing? What is perfect to a person whose standard evolves with every step forward? The seed does not resemble the tree. The sketch does not mirror the sculpture. The draft does not echo the final masterpiece. And yet, all are required. All are part of the journey. So begin. Begin ugly. Begin unprepared. Begin afraid. But begin. Give yourself permission to be a beginner, to stumble, to fall, to create something embarrassingly rough. Because in that roughness lies potential, and in that potential lives greatness. But you will never find it by standing still. The pursuit of perfection delays the joy of progress. It kills momentum. It steals time. And time once lost cannot be recovered. If you wait for perfect, you will wait forever. Excellence is not a product of hesitation. It is born in motion, in revision, in persistence. The stone is not shaped by thinking about the strike. It is shaped by the hammer that lands again and again. And so you must become that hammer, relentless, repetitive, refined over time. You don't get to your best work by thinking about it. You get there by doing your worst work first. Then you shape, then you edit, then you refine. Think of the great inventors, the builders, the artists of the ages. Did they wait until every detail was perfect before they began? No. They started, they experimented, they failed, and they tried again. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before the light bulb. Michelangelo spent 4 years painting a ceiling, correcting, repainting, adjusting, turning imperfections into awe. Progress is your weapon against perfection. When perfection says not yet, progress says try anyway. When perfection says you're not ready, progress replies that's how I become ready. You must learn to respect the unfinished, honor the attempt, praise the messy middle, because it is the raw, imperfect act that teaches you more than theory ever could. Each step you take, even the flawed ones, carves a path forward. Every page written, every brush stroke, every spoken word, no matter how clumsy, is a vote for growth. So forget flawless, choose finished, choose motion, choose effort, because done is always better than perfect. And what you finish today, you can improve tomorrow. But what you never begin remains forever trapped in the prison of potential. Do not let perfection become your excuse. Let action become your proof, because in the end, you will not be remembered for what you planned, but for what you built. Not for what you dreamed, but for what you delivered. Let that be your guide. Let that be your fire. Start now. Start imperfect. Start with whatever you have, and let progress sculpt the masterpiece hiding within you. Make time your servant, not your master. Time is not your enemy. It is your greatest ally when you choose to master it. But left unclaimed, time becomes the silent thief of dreams. It slips through your fingers, carrying with it your intentions, your ambitions, your greatness. The tragedy is not that you don't have time. The tragedy is that you haven't yet commanded it. Procrastination is not merely delay. It is surrender. It is the passive decision to let the clock rule you rather than you ruling the clock. Every minute you delay, you give away a portion of your authority. You silence your momentum. You make room for doubt to creep in. But here is the truth. The successful do not find more hours in the day. They are given the same 24. What separates them is not time, but intention. They assign their hours like generals assign troops. Every block has a mission. Every minute has an order. They do not wander through their days. They direct them. You must reclaim your time. You must own your schedule as if it were your bank account, because time is wealth. Every hour you waste is a withdrawal. Every block you invest with purpose is a deposit into your future. Start by looking at your day not as a blur of obligations, but as a canvas for legacy. If you want to write a book, set the hour. If you want to build a business, mark the time. If you want to heal your body, schedule the ritual. Do not hope you will find time. That is a myth. Time is not found, it is made. Those who wait for time to show up will always be waiting. But those who decide how to spend it become the architects of their lives. Block your time with boldness. Treat your calendar as sacred. Do not fill it with distractions and then wonder where your life went. You must declare your priorities with ink, not intention, because until it is scheduled, it is just a wish. The moment you begin assigning your time, something incredible happens. Your mind begins to follow. Your body rises to meet the plan. The fog of indecision lifts. You no longer ask, "What should I do today?" because the answer was already chosen by your higher self. And each time you follow through on that choice, you strengthen your identity. You become someone who keeps their word, not just to others, but to yourself. That self-trust compounds. It becomes confidence. It becomes clarity. It becomes a life that moves forward. Time becomes your servant the moment you tell it what to do. When you give your time direction, you eliminate one of the most toxic lies you've been told. I don't have time. You do have time. You have exactly what the greats had. What changed the world, what built empires, what wrote the books you admire, what shaped the lives you envy. You have 24 hours. What you lack is not time, but command. Do not let your days happen to you. Declare them, shape them, name them before they begin. Say, this hour is for creation. This block is for movement. This moment is for reflection. And watch how your life begins to obey the language of your leadership. Most people treat time like sand. They watch it fall, they feel it slip, and they mourn its loss. But time is not sand. Time is clay. It can be shaped. It can be molded. It becomes what you instruct it to become. The lazy inherit a full day and spend it with nothing to show. The disciplined inherit the same, but they build, they stack, they multiply, they understand the principle of stewardship. To whom much is given, much is required. You've been given time, now require something from it. Want to change your life? Don't change your year, change your day. Don't change the mountain, change the hour. If you command 1 hour today and repeat that command tomorrow and the day after, you build a kingdom, not in one sweep, but in consistent obedience to purpose. Stop drifting, start directing. Stop waiting, start scheduling. Stop surrendering, start commanding. Because your time is not your enemy, it is the most loyal ally you will ever have if you lead it. The question is no longer, do I have time? The question is, will I take it? And if the answer is yes, then the clock becomes your tool, not your tyrant. Take it, use it, own it, and watch your future unfold by design, not delay. Turn deadlines into lifelines. Most people fear deadlines. They treat them as threats, as looming shadows that stalk their peace. But the wise know better. The wise do not fear the ticking clock. They use it. They understand that deadlines are not threats. They are tools, not chains, but challenges. Not cages, but compasses. A deadline is a lifeline thrown forward. It connects your present to your future. It is a declaration to your higher self, by then I will deliver. Without a deadline, there is no urgency. And without urgency, the mind drifts. It floats into the lazy fog of someday and later. But someday is a myth. Later is a lie. And your dream, your mission, deserves better than fiction. It deserves a date, a target, a line drawn in time that says, this is when it becomes real. The mind loves comfort. It avoids pressure. It whispers that you need more time, more clarity, more preparation. But pressure, when harnessed, is power. Pressure is what turns coal into diamond. It is what turns ideas into action. When you set a deadline, you activate that pressure. You give yourself something solid to move toward. The fog lifts. Decisions sharpen. Distractions lose their seduction, because now the clock is ticking. And the ticking is your cue to rise. A deadline is a promise in motion. It is a contract with yourself. And when you declare it to someone else, a friend, a mentor, a teammate, you amplify its power. Now, it is not just your pride at stake. It is your integrity. And when integrity is on the line, action follows. Want to write a book? Set the date it will be finished. Want to launch a project? Mark the day it goes live. Want to change your health? Circle the milestone and count backward. Assign time. Create pressure. But don't stop there. Tie it to consequence. Make the deadline matter. Put a cost on failure. Raise the stakes. Tell someone who will hold you accountable, because soft deadlines breed soft action, but firm ones, they build fire. And fire is what you need. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It doesn't exist. What exists is now. And now is where you create momentum. Now is where you take that first imperfect step. Now is where you light the fuse. The deadline is the furnace. It is the heat in which discipline is forged. It doesn't weaken you, it focuses you. It strips away what doesn't matter and sharpens what does. It demands clarity. It requires movement. And in that movement, you find your strength. You may feel pressure, but pressure is not your enemy. It is your ally. It is the force that says, I believe in this so much, I will not let it drift. It is the internal fire that says, I do not negotiate with delay. Every great achievement had a clock behind it. Every revolution had a countdown. Every masterpiece had a deadline, whether public or private, that moved the hand from thought to deed. Time can be a tyrant if you let it control you, but if you learn to control it, it becomes your most loyal tool. The deadline is not the villain, indecision is. So draw the line, set the date, make the commitment, and then move. Because when you learn to use deadlines, you no longer fear the clock, you command it. And in doing so, you transform not only your time, but your results. Wield the deadline well. It is not your enemy, it is your edge. Remember who you're becoming when the temptation to delay creeps in. When your mind begins to whisper, it can wait. Or, just a little later, pause. Don't move on autopilot. Instead, interrupt the pattern with a question. Who am I becoming through this choice? Because every moment is more than a task deferred or completed. It is a brush stroke in the portrait of your identity. You are not just managing your time. You are sculpting your character. Every decision you make is a vote for the kind of man you are becoming, and the sum of those votes will define your destiny. Procrastination may seem innocent today, just a short delay, a small detour, a few minutes lost, but time compounds, and so do habits. When you yield to delay again and again, you aren't just pushing off a task, you are slowly constructing a version of yourself who cannot be trusted with purpose, and potential, when left unused, does not lie dormant. It becomes pain. The pain of regret, the ache of missed opportunity, the quiet sorrow of knowing you were meant for more, and yet you watch the days slip by. But there is another path, a higher path, a path that begins not with a surge of motivation, but with a simple decision to act from identity, not from mood. Because your mood is fleeting, it is weather, it changes, but identity, that is the foundation. Say to yourself with firmness and conviction, I am the kind of person who acts with urgency, who respects his time, who honors his word. Say it even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because it is in those moments of resistance that your future is forged. Repetition builds reputation, not just in the eyes of the world, but in your own eyes. Each time you follow through on what you said you would do, you are reinforcing the self that rises. You are casting a vote for discipline, for integrity, for power. But every time you choose to delay, to avoid, to abandon the call of duty, you are strengthening the self that hides, the self that makes excuses, the self that trades greatness for comfort. You must choose. You must decide, because your destiny is not written in the stars. It is written in your standards. It is not determined by talent or luck or circumstance, but by what you are willing to demand from yourself today. You do not need to change your life overnight. You only need to make a different choice now, the choice to rise instead of retreat, to move instead of wait, to step into the identity of the man you were created to be. That choice, made again and again, will transform you. It will rewrite your story. It will rebuild your confidence. It will restore your clarity. And soon you will no longer wonder if you can trust yourself. You will know every small act of discipline, every early morning, every hard conversation, every task completed when comfort tempted delay adds another line to the book of your life. Let today be one more chapter in the story of a man who refused to delay his greatness, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Because when the clock ticked and the pressure came, he did not flinch, he did not run. He remembered who he was, and he acted. Stop waiting. Start building the life you're meant to live. If procrastination has held you back, now is the moment to break free. Apply what you learn. Take that first small step and never look back. Your future is waiting, and it won't wait forever. Make the move right now.